Thank you very much, Jamie. Please, ladies and gentlemen, come on board. Thank you very much for making it back from the coffee break. I know it's very difficult, but thank you. And I'm also going to sit down with my dear panelists because I'm way too tall to be looking down at them. All right. So, what do global brands have in store for us and for the investors? Let me first start with basically asking a tricky question from my panelists that I haven't prepared them for. Also to sort of demonstrate how large this whole branded environment is. So the question is, what do you think, how many brands in total the five of you represent? And just shoot, don't spend time calculating it. Please, Christian.
Why you start with me?
You're next to me. There's no good or bad answer.
135.
Sylvia?
Is there a price or?
Yeah, how many brands in total, the five of you?
125.
140.
159.
If you get closer, is a bottle of champagne or what? What is the award?
A big round of applause.
You said 159? 161.
Thank you very much. Then it's Sylvia who gets the round of applause.
Damn it.
It's between 120 and 130, so it's quite a lot. And if you look at the number of hotels, it's getting even more interesting. It's about 30,000 hotel rooms globally. Hotels, 30,000 hotels, and about 4 million hotel rooms. To give some perspective, because 4 million hotel rooms is probably something that most of you really cannot put on the map, in Europe there's about 7 million hotel rooms. So it's quite interesting to see, and with about 200,000 hotels. So it's quite interesting to see that the big brands do represent the large hotels typically, and there's a lot out there, but we're also going to explore that probably it's still not enough. Okay, so let me start with asking my dear panelists what the lessons learned were from the last 2.5 years. Christian.
I mean, it was, I think, a challenging really situations and non-stop exercise for the industry. In the development itself, I think we said the right word is flexibility, understanding, agile, trying to find solutions, reading the market, looking at new opportunities, new concept, new products. We had redeveloped all our tools in general, so that's what we did.
Could you give me an example of what new came to life out of this period?
For us, we were about to launch it, but with the residence products, with Wyndham Grant and Ramada Residences that we had launched, and we were ready with that, and also looking at different business model in the resort area.
Thank you very much. Sylvia, did Marriott's strategy change in any way whatsoever from the lessons learned?
Yes, it's changing always. So the biggest lesson is we have to be able to adapt quickly and respond with new ways of doing things. So this is particularly visible in the field of ECG, the trend that has been accelerated in a way by the pandemic, but is here to stay. And we, as industry, will need to adapt so much more. I'm not so sure still how all of these practices will be implemented in our strategy, but certainly we will see much more.
Thank you. How about you, David? What do you think this past few years meant for Radisson?
Hi, yeah, hello everybody. I mean, as a hotel company, you're learning all the time, and we of course learned operationally to adapt, and to adapt with different levels of staffing, to adapt to different demands from the guests, to adapt to developing different products within the hotel, to redeveloping food and beverage offerings like everyone did, to looking at, minibar robots, to looking at flexible rooms that can be converted into boardrooms, hybrid meeting rooms, and that's just operationally. And then as a company, you started to understand really what is break-even point in a hotel. Everyone maybe thought they knew before what break-even was in a hotel, but my goodness, now we know after 2 years. And it helps you then to really focus on GOP management, profitability, really cutting out the fat and really understanding a lean operation, be it a leased hotel, right down to helping franchise partners. And then from a development perspective is what I'm looking at, of course, is looking at the offerings for the owners. What are you offering? How flexible can you be? We created a new brand, Radisson Individuals, through COVID, which is an affiliation brand, really offering owners a quick fix to join a network without really investing. And so you're reacting and creating always, but certainly those 2 years have been very instrumental in many ways for the whole company, not just from a development perspective.
And how has the feedback been on Radisson Individuals, for instance?
I mean, we have 80 hotels now open in pipeline from the last 2 years. So fantastic. I mean, really, and that's just for individual hotels to signing up local hotel chains. So it's been received very, very well.
Thank you very much. Frank, I think for Accor it also resulted in some internal changes as well. Could you reflect on that perhaps?
I think saying about the last 2 years, I would say the great lesson I think we have all learned is that how strong and resilient this industry is. I think we have, from all commercial asset classes, I think we had the strongest comeback, and today we probably have the strongest performance of all commercial asset classes. And I can see with many of our partners, if we have the right product with the right partner in the right place, the cash producing is very, very good. And I invite, maybe there's some bankers in the room to look at that, because I think in commercial real estate we are really, really becoming the top asset class also in Europe. And I think this is amazing. This is amazing to do that so quickly after COVID. Other changes, I think there is, we definitely have become key player in resorts, mountain resorts, spa resorts, seaside resorts with some amazing new properties. And then another element which is really exploding within our industry and also with us, Accor, is branded residential, which we are really introducing also in Europe. Top projects like the Old War Office in London, maybe the most expensive real estate today sold in Europe. But we bring it, and we're also working now on the first, let me say, standalone branded residential products, which is great opportunity to add value, especially in this current terms where the financing is more challenging, but the demand for high-end residents with top service guaranteed by a brand it's going very well.
Thank you, Frank. Miguel, covering over 20 countries, I'm sure you had a lot of discussions with owners over the past few years. What could you offer in times of crisis? And what are you sort of more equipped with by now today when the next such event occurs? What were the lessons learned for you?
Well, I think that just picking up what my colleagues were saying, we are still learning, and this is not over yet. It's not the past 2 years or the past 3 years now. It's a constant learning, and I think this has evolved a lot, our industry. As Frank is saying, I mean, we are definitely resilient, and this is something that we need to also make sure that we bring that confidence to the major stakeholders in the room, especially the banks, which is today one of the biggest element. From our side, from IHG, we have always been focused on new builds, and this was kind of a trend. If I pick up Northern Europe region, which I'm covering, our new builds, they were always at 82-83%. So it was not so much about talking about what can we do a little bit different. We had a very consistent product, and this was also appreciated as well by the stakeholders because you could predict costs. So it was very easy somehow to estimate the development cost and then potentially an exit strategy.
But that's
as well.
gone.
But that's gone.
Yeah.
That's gone. And that's what we are seeing now. We have approximately 72% of conversions across Northern Europe. I'm talking about things that we have in the funnel. As my team knows, I like a lot of statistics to understand the trends of the market. So by consequence, if you are working on a conversion space, your brands need to be also evolving into that front. And one of the things that we have seen is what we launched in 2019 with the Voco brand, a brand that we work a little bit by anticipation, a little bit like our friend Ruslan, understanding the tailwinds, ESG, the flexibility, something that is a brand without the brand standards. This is something that has resonated a lot with our investors. And after 3 years, seeing that from a launching of that brand with 100 hotels globally between open and pipeline, it's really impressive. The other two elements we've seen, like my colleagues as well, we've seen that IG was definitely focused on city hotels, and I think this, we can say it openly, we all were doing exactly the same thing, right? And that space on the resorts, it was something that we are now entering very strongly, but we were not exploring that before.
Would you highlight any geographies where you are stronger in terms of resorts now, in terms of your pipeline?
Well, yes, I mean, within my 23 countries, I can say that you probably have around 10, 12 where we are looking for resort properties. We also need to be quite careful when we talk about resorts, because there is this kind of approach where you say we can plug everywhere and it's going to work. It's not necessarily like that. We need to understand that all these contracts are 20 years plus. So we need to understand the consistency as well, and understand that it's not just a trend for the next 2 years, but if it's going to last on a long-term basis. The fact that we base a lot our distribution on MICE and corporate, that's also very helpful for the shoulder months on the resort properties. So definitely when it comes to Germany, to Austria, we are also looking in Romania as well, in Poland. In the Nordics, we are looking for a lot of resort properties. We believe very much that this would be a very healthy and stable environment.
Thank you, Miguel.
Just the last one is the suites component or the extended stay component. And I just want to phrase that because we have a very well-known brand, the Holiday Inn Express. Development convinced our board. It was one of those, you know, what it is to struggle and to try to convince the board to do something differently. So we decided to do the Holiday Inn Express and suites, so with a little bit of an extended stay component. And this has been booming. I mean, it's unbelievable how much traction we got that into the market.
Very interesting. How about, in your case, Sylvia, at Marriott, what are the hottest brands for you right now?
What do you mean the hottest?
Like,
because all of them are hot.
No, I do get
well,
it. Like, which are the ones that you can sort of sell the most in terms of new projects?
Well, first of all, when I look across the portfolio, we certainly have intention to grow in select service space. Currently, 50% of pipeline are select service brands. We see potential, particularly in secondary and tertiary markets. Moxy, for example, is developing with great speed in Europe, but also in the region. Moxy Budapest is coming, Moxy Istanbul is coming. We just opened Moxy in Belgrade. We see potential also for Fairfield by Marriott. It's actually the second largest brand that we have. But we will have first 2 Fairfields open next year in Europe. Second, of course, is our luxury brand portfolio. We want to stay a global leader in this segment. This year, we will be opening 35 new hotels globally, but also we see quite a lot of potential for luxury brands in the region, so not only globally. We opened, for example, Ritz-Carlton in Baku recently. This year we will have W Budapest, W Prague, Luxury Collection Tbilisi, St. Regis Belgrade, and then the last but not the least premium segment for us is always hot. especially in the region. We recently opened Marriott in Tirana, the first one in Albania, and we have signed the first Marriott coming to Croatia. So you see,
Yeah.
all of them are hot.
You've been a busy bee. Thank you, Silja. What I've been seeing as an advisor is that franchise agreements are becoming much more popular. Would you agree with this? How does that reflect on your portfolio? And maybe let's start with Christian, who has a lot of franchises.
We have mainly franchises, so I can only say that it's not a trend for us because we are driven and we are coming from that world. So effectively, it's a good business model. We see a lot of traction with individual owners, but also we partner in some places like in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, with white label operators that are basically operating and supporting us with a franchise, and it's a real good business model in a certain way where you have the expertise on the ground. The white label operator are really dedicated to make the best of the brand, representing really well the owners, and we have a really good approach, and we open fast. So we definitely feel it's a right model for us in this part of the world.
And for you, which markets have been sort of the hottest, or you see today that are increasing the most amidst all this geopolitical tension within your area of?
I mean, we have a strong development also, like I said, Uzbekistan, in Georgia, where we are one of the leaders. We see a lot of branded residence happening in this part of the world. And I have developers all over Europe, so everyone, of course, is targeting their own markets and looking actively at this market. There is also it was a strong boom last year in Portugal, pushed by the Golden Visa scheme, and we are trying to look at some other places. And of course, the investors there are having a different approach towards an investment, because the hotel is there to support the mechanism of selling this Golden Visa. And we constantly look at different options and ideas to continue to expand, because it's, as mentioned before, sometimes the banking sector is not always helping for new construction.
Exactly. David, what is your take on the franchise being a trend? Do you ride on this train or not necessarily?
We're on every train, of course. I mean, we of course are traditionally a hotel operator and a management company. From the Residor days, we were known for managing hotels, but market trends change, and we have a very strong franchise team. Actually, our franchise guru is here this week as well, so that explains how important it is for us. We're very much more open than we used to be to franchise, and if you consider, for example, our Prize Hotel brand, which is like we're fully owned now by us. Originally, we were doing only lease in DACH countries. Now we've made it conversion friendly, franchisable, and expanding. We just signed the first one in Dublin, for example. So we're expanding beyond the traditional German market for that. And that's something we can see for Romania, for Bulgaria. Franchise model for that particular brand is very exciting for us. As Christian said, the third-party operators, white labels, are becoming much stronger in this particular region as well, and we see them as good partners to expand. And if you talk about hot markets, certainly Romania, Serbia, for the last 12 months has been extremely hot. Belgrade, for example, and then Georgia still as well. So we're seeing branded residential in Georgia that we signed as franchise last year, 500 units in Batumi, selling the units. So there's a real mix of different types of projects at different segments where we're very open to franchise with the right partners, of course, to keep the standard of the brand.
Thank you very much, David. What we also see is that some of you have already touched upon is that obviously development prices are skyrocketing, and in some markets more than others, it really does impact feasibilities of certain projects that we see. And the question is whether you see that this sort of being expensive, developments are being expensive, are sort of pushing you as brands to really go for more higher level, upper tier hotels, or not necessarily? What's your take, Frank?
Not necessarily. I think with my partners or with our partners, what I always tell them is, we should make sure that in your market, in your segment of your market, just be the best in your segment. You can be one star or 5 star. If you're the best, if you're a hostel, make sure you're the best hostel. If you're the luxury hotel, make sure that you're the best luxury hotel in your market. And that's what we try to do, and that's why we try to bring the right brand to the partners. And it's always very interesting discussions, and that's why if you have a wide range of brands, it's really you can bring really an individual solutions to each of the partners, and they love it. They absolutely love it. In the question between franchise and management and markets, I would say if you look at our portfolio, we have about 2,500 hotels in management and about 3,000 in franchise. It's obviously that franchise is accelerating, also in our region, because throughout the region now, I think I do 25 countries with the team. We have now everywhere very strong white label partners, which really helps us to accelerate. And in terms of markets, markets are, what I can see is, and this is maybe quite new, there is a real acceleration in branding also in Greece and Italy, for instance, which were traditionally not really branded markets, and we see a real strong acceleration there. And then we have consolidation in Romania, Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic, which traditional are markets which we are very strong. But as Accor, I think we have 3,500 properties in Europe. We simply have the ambition to be the number one in each of the markets in Europe, and that's what we work for.
Thank you very much, Frank. Going back to the topic of resorts, because they have truly proven to be much more resilient than many expected, mostly because of the domestic markets or the particularities of certain destinations. What do you think, Sylvia? Does that really impact your thinking in terms of what are you trying to sell to investors?
Of course. So resorts became hot after COVID. Just for me, one most astonishing data recent. Our resorts in EMEA region achieved 46% growth in RevPAR 2022 compared to 2019.
Wow,
So
that's amazing.
that was for me the most kind of, really did shape our development approach in the region. We are equally focused on resorts. We were before, but I would say much more after COVID.
Thank you very much. Anybody else who would like to jump on this?
And maybe for resorts, I think what was very important for us a few years ago, we set up really specific, let me say, expertise in the company, which we finance and manage, both for food and beverage and both for spa. And that is really critical for resorts, that we have this expertise. I think we've been voted the best hotel spa operator worldwide, I think last week. And it's really important because in spas, you have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 square meters facilities, and we have specific in-house teams who, together with the team of the owners, develop that. And it's a major generator of revenue, both for the accommodation, but also as the spa on its own.
Thank you very much. There's always this debate whether there's enough brand or not enough brand, whether fewer is better, more is better. Luckily, we have among you some who have over 40, some around 10. What's your take on this?
Well, I can take our point of view. We obviously have a very selective number of brands, especially when you look to the global brands that we have 18 brands. And then when you look to Europe, this number decreases as we have some brands which are only focused to the US market or to the Asian market. On our perspective, we went and made a big shift a couple of years back. Actually, when I joined the company, we still were owning a couple of assets, and we went fully asset light. And that was also a shift in our strategy to really focus on the brand portfolio that we had, trying to find the gaps. We definitely added on the luxury front. Obviously, most of you would remember Intercontinental as being just the key one and the flagship. And now obviously we have added a lot into that, Six Senses, Regent, Kimpton, also with Vignette Collection, our collection brand as well. So that definitely was a space that we were missing. As mentioned earlier, the Voco brand was also filling that gap on the lifestyle. But mostly our decision has been focusing on our brands and our core brands, and the client cannot be confused on what he's getting, right? So the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, the Holiday Inn Resort or the Crown Plaza Resort, these are all brands that clients know, and they know mostly from the cities, and they have that recognition about quality and about service, and that has been mainly our strategy. We definitely, just picking up back on the resort piece, most of you heard about Iberostar as well. So this is something that we definitely are adamant when we see that there is a gap, a clear gap in our proposition. But we believe that we are now able to offer a big spectrum of propositions to our stakeholders, but still not getting into any cannibalization process between the brands.
Thank you very much. Anybody else on this?
Yeah, I would jump in. I mean, obviously, when I joined Radisson, we had two brands. We had Radisson Blu and Park Inn by Radisson. And of course, we've, about 4 or 5 years ago, we launched Radisson Collection, Radisson. We redeveloped Radisson Red. So again, we've been very focused on the particular segment, the particular brand, to fill that segment. Prize Hotel is a very good example as well of something that we purchased. We fully own it now. We've redeveloped the entire project so we can fill that segment that was missing for our guests and for the owners. So I think we all have different approaches to our number of brands. We have some brands that are only US driven. We have obviously the Park Plaza and the Art Hotel brands that we own, that we have with partnership with Park Plaza Hotel. So for the moment, we're kind of similar to what Miguel said. We're focused on what we have and building those brands within those segments.
Thank you, David. Another question that I wanted to actually ask you a long time is about collections, because everybody seems to have this collection brand either recently introduced to their portfolio or have always had it. And what would be your message for the audience? How is your collection different than the others? Because it's from looking at it from the outside, it's difficult to distinguish.
I think it's difficult to distinguish because every single property has their own characteristic. So either you are on an upper upscale luxury segment or you are on the mid-scale. We have trademark collection for us in the mid-scale and registry collections on the upper scale luxury arena. And I think then it's how you serve the franchisee or the clients and what you offer. It's not really a clear definition because it's a collection. So the collection is there, hopefully, to stay as a collection and to be part of an organization that help you driving business, new opportunities, that you engage again with a larger company and you can benefit from procurement to sales and marketing activities.
And is that really a driving force in your situation? So do you spread the collection brands?
Yes, I think, of course, I think that's what I wanted to say before on the brands. It's not that we are just adding brands for the sake of adding brands. And I think, like Miguel has mentioned, you look what you have and you try to see if there is a place where you are not covered and what you need to offer something different to the audience. And of course, this kind of affiliation brands, collection brands, it's a good tool. It offers normally more flexibilities. So you can approach hotels that are maybe smaller in different locations that have their own strong identity, and the owners and the family operators, and it's still a lot in these regions, they are very proud what they have created for years, and you just attach your brands to it, and you try to engage them towards your organizations that they can get the benefit out of it. Definitely, it's something that we try to grow.
Makes perfect sense.
I think what is a very interesting story is we launched in January a collection, upper mid-scale collection brand called Handwritten. And that was really driven by our partners, because we have many partners who have also independent hotels, which were really looking for a solution to be associated. And it is really, the idea came actually from our ownership platform, from can we without having to spend or completely rebuild a hotel, how can we associate it? And I think we started to promote the brand in November, and we have more than 32 in the pipeline this morning. But this was really driven by by existing partners saying, guys, I can bring you more properties, bring us the solution to associate these properties. And I think this is very interesting. It's very dynamic, but you have to keep at the same time you have to keep a lid on it. You need to make sure that if in the collection in this marketplace you have the hotel which is the best, let me say, collection hotel in that marketplace. It doesn't have to be in its segment. Again, if it is mid-scale, it's mid-scale, but make sure that you then have a collection of very good mid-scale hotels in the different marketplace. And that's also important to make sure that you keep this collection as a strong added value for the partners and for the guests who will use the hotels.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you need to have, the quality has to be there at whatever level you're at. For example, in the Radisson Individuals, you have like the Hotel Berlin with 700 rooms just opened, and then we have the Art Hotel in Belgrade with 45 rooms. They're completely different properties.
Yeah.
They're both in the same segment, but they both have their own qualities, but it allows a myriad of hotels to join a brand with a very different product, but a specific quality. And I think I think we're all benefiting from that, and then the owners benefit from having options to join our networks.
Thank you, David. Nearing the end of our conversation, I'd like to throw in a sort of a bit of a tougher question as well. While we all know that brands are all nice and beautiful, and they help owners and all the stakeholders involved in many ways, there are times when the marriage is not necessarily successful for all sorts of reasons. What can you offer? What is the situation? How can you remedy such a situation when it's just really not? It turns out that it's not the right marriage, either because of non-performance or the location. What are the tools? Because obviously, one thing that everybody tries to avoid is to bring things to a legal floor. What's your take on that?
Sorry, I have to jump in because you almost said situation.
Sorry.
But it does reflect, what I would say marriage can be sometimes, right? In good times and bad times, in sickness and in health. So we are in the same boat with our owners. And we need to, be partners. Although, here you don't have the option to divorce. So you have to find a way to stay, unless it's really impossible. But this is something we understood quite well during COVID. So we were working diligently, really to lower down the costs, and doing everything in our power to drive demand and help the owners just get through it.
I think there's, from experience, because I'm in this industry for quite a while, there's two elements. Especially also with conversion properties, the rock and roll is in the first 12 months until everything settles down. After that, it's gone, and there is very little issues once the business runs. And what I also have seen is that when it's really tougher, we stick together. And I think COVID has brought us a lot of development opportunities with partners who say, Guy, I really don't understand why I need somebody next to me when it's difficult. It's even more important. And then obviously, in a business relationship, things can always happen, but we find solutions. We're very pragmatic people, and quite frankly, in general, it's a long-term relationship, and I see very little hiccups in reality.
Thank you very much. Just to wrap it up, please, each and one of you, please, could you just share your sort of parting message to the owners and investors looking for, signing up with a new brand of yours? What do you have in store for them as a parting thought in the era of new normal in 2023? Christian.
Yeah, I just want to say that we are definitely committed to the regions. We like the region. We have the right brands to support any hotel investment, development or conversions. We are opening offices in Germany, but also in Greece to support our expansions, to be near to the clients. And I think we are known to be easy and approachable to do business with.
Thank you.
That's my message.
Celia?
There is a funny selling speech that I don't use, but it's funny. If you have a land, we have a brand here. So, but definitely we need to also adjust to our owners, and this is why we are keep developing the brand portfolio, and not only the brands, but also the product type that we do, that we didn't mention. Like mixed use, modular development, prototypical conversions, dual branded. So we also adjusted quite heavily to be able to provide the right fit for the owners.
Thank you, Celia. What sets you apart, David?
Me? No? Okay. No, look, again, it's where we have all the brands. You can see Radisson Hotel Group, but behind it sits people like myself, our technical team, the IT, legal, operations. It's a people business after all, the hospitality business. We're all hospitality driven, and we're all doing the best we can with our brands for the owners we have. And we're here, as Christian said, we're committed also to the region. We're committed to help you to expand your portfolios. Call me, I'm here.
Thank you.
Maybe I make a bit of a more general point. I strongly believe, and my company strongly believe, that we all are somewhere associated today in the best commercial real estate asset class. We are way too quiet about that. I think we should promote this much harder. It's a great, we produce great assets to invest, and we produce great assets to work in. And I think if one message is that we, as an industry altogether, we need to work on harder, we need to promote that better, because we're in a fantastic industry. We're shown excellent resilience, and it has a great future. So, and we should build on that all together.
Fully agree. Thank you.
Well, just picking up a little bit your provocative question about what happened when things go wrong, right? So I think that the foundation is to have those honest conversations on the very beginning, right? The sense of partnership. And I think this is really a foundation that it's not only from myself, but also from my team. Obviously, localization, we have been putting experts on the market in order to understand what are really the nitty-gritty of every different regions. But this sense of partnership and open communication, this needs to be the foundation of everything. On the end of the day, we will understand where you want to go strategically with your asset. We need to have consistency of quality and service, because that will always be a fundamental with IHG. But definitely having those open discussions, this is something that we need to have with the owners. And I'm not ashamed to say that not only me, but also my colleagues in here, some of the times we will say, sorry, it's not with us. We are not aligned on interests. But having those honest conversations with all of you would ensure that when we are aligned, you know that we are going to deliver. And you know that we will be spot on an open and transparent communication.
Excellent parting thoughts. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to my dear panelists. Thank you very much.